It's called Advanced Answering Techniques. So it is 3 professional people explaining to other people how to answer different questions, a multiple variety of questions. Advanced Answering Techniques.
Hello and welcome to Advanced Answering Techniques. I'm one of your co-hosts, Josh. I'm going to introduce the other co-hosts in a second. One thing I've been thinking of, sharks when they, the Woody Allen thing, America's Sweetheart, Woody Allen, sharks. I'm looking at you guys and you're not responding. Is it because you're not supposed to talk yet? Okay. When a shark stops moving, it's dead. And so I think we need to keep moving. And one way that we could keep moving is change the name of the podcast again. And one thing that I've hit upon, just kind of looking out into what's successful and what does well. And so I think we could, if we were to rename the podcast Success-Oriented Strategies for Growth, I think that might be a good move for us. But I feel like it's missing something. So as I introduce you, could you please kind of give me one word that you would add to that to improve it? So now I'm going to introduce the co-hosts, and they will do that. First co-host I'd like to introduce is Caleb.
So
that would be success-oriented strategies for growth.
No.
Oh.
So this is my idea.
Okay.
Success-oriented strategies for human growth.
And the idea is that this is going to help. This will increase stature.
Yeah, just
or girth,
making people bigger.
Yeah,
sort of is the idea.
Yeah, it's great. And Gabe,
success-oriented strategies for random growth.
Okay, and go ahead and
just kind of indiscriminate growth
somewhere
of any kind in any place. Yeah, it's not directed in any specific way.
Here's why I think Gabe's is so much better is that just think about how many years we could perpetuate that podcast. Whereas human growth.
Well, you think there's a ceiling on how big we can get people?
I think the timeline on it is pretty expansive too. Like, if we're implementing these strategies, it's going to take years to see the fruits of that.
Of mine?
For human growth.
Why?
Well, because it takes about 18 years for somebody to get to, what we would call an adult, somebody who's basically done growing. I don't think you actually stop growing until you're 25 or something like that. But
I'm saying we increase the growth, as in make them grow bigger, but also increase the amount of time people grow.
Well, and maybe
so we're talking about adults who are getting even bigger.
Gotcha. As tall
maybe
as
there's
trees.
a whole other kind of phase of humanity after being an adult that we discover through making people get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And also I think we could decrease the time.
Right. That would be the hope.
That's another thing. So maybe it takes you, 18 years to be, in the 6 foot range.
I'd say,
but only 4 years to get to 12.
Right. 4 years to get to 12. And what I'm saying is I hope it'd be like a foot a year.
Yeah.
Initially.
Wow.
So when these kids are 18,
18 feet
they're
tall.
18 feet tall.
Yeah.
But also it's rare that children are born at would they be born at
0
1 foot at 0 feet?
Well, that's just about establishing a baseline.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your thing is completely untenable to me. And how do you even measure what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
How is success measured by the random growth of things?
And that's why I think it's an interesting podcast, topic. It's something that if you kind of construct your podcast around that, each episode can be delving into what's the metric for success and what constitutes growth.
So we can just keep redefining those terms every episode.
Sounds like fun.
Okay.
No. We're it's not redefining them. It's constantly digging into,
constantly evolving them,
moving, like digging into what does this really mean, developing context. It's essentially infinite.
As soon as you figure out maybe what the foundation is, you've got to turn that up again, till that earth again,
till that ground.
Yeah.
I also think that, just really quickly, one more critique of your premise would be that when you have something like success oriented, in the title, it kind of implies that you have an idea of what success would be. You also have just assumed that success is just growing bigger. Which,
well, it's not. It doesn't have to be. Yes, that's where we've started off.
Yeah, and it is. Gabe's right. It is pretty reductive.
To reduce everything to just size.
Just size. Well, that's what success is.
That's what I started off with. Now, look, as this podcast continued on in the years, we'd understand. There's growth. Humans can grow in multiple ways. It's not just in stature. But, going off of what Josh suggested, I said it would have to do with that. But could humans grow, more limbs?
Yeah.
Could humans grow
spiritually and morally?
Well,
I don't think that's possible, actually. I shouldn't have suggested it.
Yeah, I think that stuff is, how do you measure that? That's the real issue.
It's not quantitative.
Right. Whereas if someone has started to grow a new arm, you could go, success.
That's one. That's one new arm.
Right. It's just apparent. And it's interesting because that is, the body is
bones.
Integral. Well, the body is not just bones.
Only
contrary to popular belief, the body is not just a bunch of bones.
Okay.
You need bones for a body, a human body.
Sure.
Some bodies you don't need bones, but human bodies you do need bones.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't have any bones, then that's
a worm.
They're hard. Maybe not a person. Yeah, maybe a worm.
Yeah.
Or Gregory.
Well,
he has bones.
Yeah, there's...
Sure doesn't look like it.
Well, looks can be deceiving.
And it depends on...
Gregory can often be deceiving, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not only the
not
way he
committed
looks,
to truth.
Yeah, not only the way he looks, but when he looks at you, you can be deceived.
That's true. Yeah.
It's time to get into our question today. We have another question from Isaac, one of our favorite contributors.
Certainly a recent, he's like kind of surged ahead in the leaderboard.
Yeah, he's sort of number 3 with a bullet, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Rising through the charts.
And I like
surpassing number 4.
Yeah, number 4 would be...
that would be basically
shots
Steven.
fired.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, no, it's not just... that's not about quality or anything.
It's
like
just
that.
about quantity.
It's Isaac's rising.
It's consistency.
Yeah,
consistently
it's about
submitting.
consistency.
And look, we will reward you for consistently submitting.
Yeah, with a bullet.
Yes.
Let's listen.
Hey boys, it's your friend Isaac here, living in my home in the Empire State Building at the very top where the blimps land. Hunkiness is my question. How can I create an air of hunkiness in my home and around my house? So my wife will think I'm more hunky, and so other people will also think I am more hunky. I like to have people think I'm a hunk. Please help.
He ends with a plea.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, please.
Well,
and actually, that's a good place to start. Just cut that out.
Yeah.
Don't say please.
Yeah.
Sort of hunkiness. I'm kind of choosing to interpret hunkiness as sort of the alpha male, posture, right? The position of being at the very top.
Yes,
at the
apex predator.
Exactly.
Which is interesting because he starts off by, where he lives is the top of the Empire State Building. Yeah. So there's a hunkiness to that. But then that's where the blimps land. And are blimps hunky? No. That's how we would describe someone who's not hunky.
They're lumpy.
A blimp. Yeah. You know? And he wants the air of hunkiness. So does that mean he wants some kind of outfit that looks hunky that you can pump up? Some kind of inflatable muscle suit?
It sounds like that's what you're saying, that if he is suggesting that, you would be against it.
No, I'd love it.
Yeah, you think that's great.
I mean, it would be one way that you're sort of putting this air muscle suit on that you pump up, and it's sort of showing your body the way.
Yeah.
Leading your body into, what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Giving your body a vision.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of the other things related to that is it's unfortunate these are blimps, because you do have dirigibles. Those are, of course, rigid-bodied.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess what are they? What would they?
Airships.
Airships.
Okay,
Airships.
Ship, not craft.
No,
fine.
it's not craft.
That's fine.
And so that is another option, but that's not what's going on, at least at the top of the Empire State Building where Isaac lives.
Right.
It's
Blimps.
and he would know.
Those are just big balloons,
Big
basically
balloons.
filled with air.
Soft bodied.
Lumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big old lumps of
Yeah.
air.
Air
strange
lumps.
air. I'd say it's strange air.
Yeah, it's not your normal
not
air.
regular air.
No, it's called helium.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the other times it's called strange air.
Some people have said
Which is-
that, yeah.
which is not even-
It's a broader category. You could have a lot of different strange air in there.
Right. So it's kind of unhelpful. So can I say, if you for whatever reason refuse to call it helium,
Yeah.
you could call it light air or air light, because it's lighter than air.
And that is a good. I've been very vocal about rebranding helium, calling it air light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because helium is also gendered, so
Right.
we don't need that.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah. What about helium?
Yeah, what about helium?
I mean, it's one of the conspiracies of history that has really helped.
You mean herstory?
History that has helped us to focus
Whiz,
on
Josh.
helium to the detriment of helium.
I would say it's one of the falsehoods of history, in that it's not herstory, because it's helium and not helium.
Or hurlium?
Yeah, that's
Right, from
actually true.
Lost.
Good point. Yeah, Hurlium from Lost.
I bet-
And boy, was he a blimp.
Oh, I was gonna say, and I bet he wish he was lighter than air.
Yeah. Well, man, if he looked that big but was lighter than air,
He wouldn't have been on the island to begin with.
he wouldn't have even been on the airplane.
Yeah, he would have been flying on his own. Maybe he would have caused the crash. Maybe they suck, Hurley into the engine, and that's what caused the crash.
Previously, Isaac was in Rat City. It sounds like he's
Moved up in the
moving
world.
up in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good. Way to go, Isaac. That will help, because even though much of hunkiness is in the body, that's not all it is,
No.
right? And status is a huge part of it.
Yep.
Well, and it's perception, right? There's a great deal of it that is just the way that you are perceived by those around you. You can cultivate an air of hunkiness, as we're talking about, but it's chicken or the egg, which comes first.
Would it be fair to say, Gabe, that hunkiness is in the eye of the beholder?
I think we can't be too exclusive with it, but I think you're onto something there, Caleb.
Or part of hunkiness is in the eye of the beholder.
That's much better.
Thank you. An air of hunkiness. Yes, a lot of that is going to be perception, but the perception has to be based on something.
Yeah, something you're perceiving.
It has to be something you're perceiving. But that's where, going back a little bit to your suggestion, Caleb, is it could just be part of the mechanism could just be an inflatable suit of some kind.
Yeah.
Because that's not true hunkiness, right? But it is creating an air.
Oftentimes we have
Hunkiness.
to assume a posture in our life before we can, and it might not be the most sincere or earnest there might not be that sincerity of feeling behind it, but you assume the posture, and then your heart or your spirit follows.
Right.
So you think the soul follows the body?
In some senses, it can.
Yeah. There's sort of it's sort of what I would characterize it as an inversion of praxis.
Okay.
Yeah. You behave as though hunkiness exists,
right?
And that actually will cause hunkiness to come into being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hunkiness will just bubble up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bubbles of air.
Yeah.
And that's the fascinating thing too about this cool inflatable suit with muscles that I'm talking about, is that there's sort of a spirit inside the muscles because it's air.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pneumatology to the suit.
Yes. And also a cool thing is that it's sort of like Bane. His muscles aren't filled up with air. And I know they're filled up with poison, I think.
But if you listen to what his voice is doing, it sounds like their helium might be an additive of some kind.
Like his voice is high?
Yeah, his voice is... Yeah,
it's creaky.
Of course.
Yeah, you're right. If his voice was very low,
then that would be something different, and I can't remember what it is, but it's a different.
It's a different gas.
Argon.
I was thinking.
I think you'll die if you do that.
Yeah, don't drink or
don't drink
it.
Don't
drink it.
Breathe
don't
it
smoke
in.
it.
Don't do anything with argon. Yeah. No, but I was thinking if Bane's voice was very, very low, then helium would make his voice what it is. In that it's not so high.
Yeah.
But it's just...
Yes.
That was just one thought I had.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
What you were
well,
saying.
And it's clear. Well, and I think it's clearly somewhat flexible, like amount, because his voice is not always up there.
Yeah.
It's
sometimes you
around.
hear it kick in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a variability to it. It's like there's a regulator that needs to be tuned up.
It's like when his
back.
muscles are getting bigger than
it's compressing. It's constricting one of the lines.
Does his
the
voice
helium.
get higher when his muscles get bigger or lower?
Of course.
Is more of it getting into his mouth or the breathing part of his body?
The breathing part of his body
is I mean, look, right now I'm actually pretty confused.
So to cultivate an air of hunkiness, you could get the Bane toxin or whatever it is. You could go for that. I
mean, it's pretty effective. He was a South American prisoner in the cartoon, and it helped him to become so hunky that he could break out of jail and kill Batman.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I do think if Isaac wants to become hunky, he does need to change, like where he is, as in at the top of a building. Right. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But having blimps involved, I think, is going to convince your wife that that's all we are. We just are here to service the blimps or something. And
you think that because they live there, she will think that they're just there to act as some kind of servant to blimps?
You're saying that right now that top spot in the hierarchy is occupied by blimps.
By the blimps.
So you need to remove.
So now you are you a hunk if you're working on blimps, or even just the potentiality of blimps showing up one day and now you're expected to work on them, or
I think
something.
The presence of the blimps actually behooves Isaac in a lot of ways to have the comparison readily available daily. Of lumpy versus hunky.
Yeah, that's a good point, so, Gabe. You really have made a great point.
Thank you,
Caleb. It seems like you're changing your mind a little bit.
I have to say my mind is sort of changing around.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And that's growth right there.
My mind used to be one shape and now it's a different shape.
Yeah. Your mind has rigid structure forming underneath the outermost layer.
It sort of has subsumed the rigid structure and incorporated into itself, and now it can shift and mold in any kind of way, like our dear brother Gregory.
Yes. And yes. And yeah. Can I
What else
offer
were you
my
gonna say?
Well, I was going to move on to my suggestion for Isaac, because I do know that he has a wife and they have cats. They have, or one cat, maybe two, I don't know. Let's just say it's one. And I think that this is a great opportunity to start demonstrating hunkiness, to cultivate that air of hunkiness you're looking for, is to sort of perpetually dominate the cat. To always be putting the cat in its place, to always be telling the cat that it's a bad kitty, and to be sort of exerting physical dominance prowess over this cat, to just be like I said, just making it subservient to your will, and your wife will recognize that. And, it might come out first as sort of a disdain for what you're doing and how you're treating this animal that you both love, but eventually it will become respect, I think.
Women really, they do respect someone who is cruel is not quite the right word, but
a taskmaster.
Is really inflexible with small animals.
Yes. And also, I just want to get out in front of it, because a lot of people will say that poor treatment or sort of malicious treatment of animals is one of the warning signs for psychopathy or sociopathy, or however you say these words. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say that's not true. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, because I can kind of imagine. I'm imagining a scene in my head right now where Isaac is sitting on the couch and he's watching a film, and the cat gets up in front of the TV, and he goes over and tells the cat to get down. It doesn't listen, so then he has to swipe the cat away.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and sits down, and his wife is looking at him with these adoring eyes, and she goes, I really love how you just disciplined the cat.
Yeah.
That's really important, Caleb. You got down to painting a picture for what is possible.
Yes.
The one thing that I did want to bring in, and Gabe, this is...
Can I say one other thing, Josh?
I would be thrilled.
I just wanted to make the audience aware that I was under the assumption that Isaac had two cats. So that is partially why I said what I said.
That's why you talked about one cat? Or did you...
I thought you only made reference to one kitty.
No, before, when we were coming up with suggestions for hunkiness, I had thought he only had one cat. Or I thought he had two cats.
That's my fault. I said he might have two, but I think it could be one.
This is before you even talked about him having cats. It was just kind of in the background of my mind. So that is partially what influenced me to say what I said about the suit.
Okay, you're gonna and I would.
I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters.
Listen. I don't want this to become a conflict. But I do not understand what you're talking about.
I don't see where they connect. That's where I'm.
It may not.
That's good. That is good to know.
You said, but just so that I could try to regurgitate this like a baby, like a mother to a baby bird.
Yummy.
The idea would be that once we talked about Isaac, and you mentioned him having a suit, possibly a blimp-oriented suit. You said that because you thought he had cats. Right. I said cats.
Two cats, yeah. Specifically.
Okay.
If he had three cats, I might have said something else.
But that was...
If he had one cat, I might have said exactly what Gabe said.
I think even having one cat maybe makes the air suit untenable, because cats scratch.
It complicates
especially when you're potentially being in a dozen physical confrontations with said cat. Throughout the day, that might be a problem.
But if you have two cats, they scratch each other.
And I think
it's not the suit.
Well, but I don't know. Like, again, you're getting in there. You're going to be getting in the mix with the kitties. You're going to be getting scratched. I don't think you can really avoid that. Yeah. And because the cats are going to resist this power shift, right? They're going to. That's just the nature. That's just the nature of kitties. But I think it's important to remember that if you wear this air suit, then any hunkiness that you gain by wearing it, you could lose an order of magnitude greater if it's punctured and it's deflated. Like,
there is nothing worse than getting up to swipe a cat away from in front of the TV. It claws your suit.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see your hunkiness melt away in front of your wife.
It's deflating.
And you see, as your suit deflates, her face falls into a frown.
And it could be even, and I'm imagining a situation, Caleb, you painted such a beautiful picture earlier.
It's beautiful.
I'm imagining a situation where a cat punctures the suit and Isaac is tossed around, is propelled through the room willy-nilly as he deflates, like a balloon, or some kind of ball, a blimp.
Yeah.
And so that would be, I mean, there's
Hindenburg.
There's nothing more emasculating than being utterly at the whim of physics and air.
Yeah.
And so maybe this has all driven us to the point where we can actually see what the key to a true hunkiness is, which is humility.
There has to be a kind of humility. This kind of tunes in. I have a few things that I think we can kind of bounce off of a little bit, kind of like Isaac around the room.
Hopefully not. I mean, honestly, truly, like sincerely.
No, I wouldn't.
But wait, Gabe, before you get serious, just think about what that funny thing Josh said was.
Yeah.
We can bounce them off of each other like Isaac around the room.
Right. Just think about that.
Yeah.
Before you get serious, though.
Yeah, we can enjoy it.
No, but
we
like
can
truly,
enjoy it for a little bit.
Yeah. But like, I really don't want to. I don't want that to be lost. It's anything you gain is at stake.
But let's give it a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. That we
was great.
We wouldn't wish it. We wouldn't wish it on Isaac.
No, but it's a funny thought, an idea, a movie playing.
But now it's time to let that go. Caleb, I thought we were in agreement that we would just let's move on.
I'm sorry. Yep.
Not everyone is called to be a hunk. There's responsibilities. Some men are called to be studs. Some men are called to be pretty boys. So one of the first things that I think you need to do is prayerfully consider whether or not you are called to be a hunk. That's big. And beyond that,
yeah.
And I mean, you guys can feel free to flesh any of this out. I just have a few points. If it spurs anything, go for it.
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Who's the patron saint of hunkiness?
Man, I
Hulk Hogan.
Saint Hulk.
Spend time with other hunks. Learn their ways. You can tap into the hunk community. Find a specific hunk that you respect and see if he'll mentor you. Established hunks are pretty open. It's a funny world because what you'll find is, even though we're talking about alphas, definitely, you'll see that actually if you've really tapped into a good community with a true alpha, you will. He is so secure that he's willing to kind of take you on,
show you the way.
He's not threatened. He's not threatened by your hunky aspirations or your hunky.
He's going to help you walk the path of hunkiness.
That's exactly right. And he's going to exactly. He's going to bring you into the true paths of hunkiness. He's going to bring you into the true paths of hunkiness. You can guard yourself against false teachings. That's essential. Some will try to say that hunk is an attitude. We flirted with it a little bit earlier.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I may have even said that it is.
But it's not. It's a mindset that doesn't take no for an answer. And
that's kind of what I was getting at too, a little bit, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think it's you say it's an attitude. I think it's a mindset.
But I mean, I think that those are kind of synonyms in a way.
Well, I don't know.
That's your opinion.
You could have a mindset and would have a different attitude.
My attitude is that mindset and attitude are synonyms.
Synonyms? Different kinds of cinnamon?
Cassia. Or
Myrrh.
real cinnamon.
What?
Cassia. A lot of what we eat is cassia, and it's not real cinnamon. Tastes like
serious?
cinnamon.
Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure that's true. I'm 100% sure that's true.
I got a big return to Costco.
You bought a lot of
false advertising.
Bought a lot of cassia.
I guess so.
Look into it, Josh.
Yes. What I need to look into it.
Would you pull that up?
We'll see if we can get around to that for next time. I wanted to mention our hunkiest, the hunkiest Stevenson brother.
Ooh.
You got. My opinion is it's Wayne.
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 Wayne is the hunkiest.
Yeah, I buy it.
Yeah. I mean, he's an ex-Green Beret. He's done the work.
Mm-hmm.
He's physically imposing.
Now, what color is his beret now? I always forget this.
Yeah, well, it's sort of more tattered and kind of a light, like sun-bleached gray.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Is that right?
I think that's right.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean I think it is.
yellowing.
It's older. It's just kind of brown. Just a brown beret.
Right. The brown berets are just they're the ex-Green Berets, really.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
But you get a lot with if people know the process there, if they know how it moves the progression from green to brown. So they see a brown beret, they say, "Oh, okay, maybe not what you once were."
Yeah.
But still.
And I also don't want to make it
the beret part of the military. They do have a kind of color-coded thing like karate belts.
Yeah. I mean,
You start off with a white beret.
yeah.
You get a yellow beret.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, you don't want to have a yellow beret out there in Vietnam.
Doing Green Beret work.
Right, because they're going to, look, his head's right there.
Yeah.
Shoot that. You know, that's what the Viet Cong are saying.
They wouldn't
I'm
think a
not
banana.
saying I'm saying that. I'm saying the Viet Cong are saying that.
But that is one of you don't think you're not proposing, hey guys, there's a yellow beret.
Yeah.
We need to take him out.
I just wanted to clarify that it's, I'm depicting something.
But that is one of the gauntlets that a Green Beret has to is to be deployed as a yellow beret.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And then how you get a Green Beret.
Right.
Is they have to kind of pass through that refiner's fire.
And if you get through that, you get to go into the they have like a performance oriented one, like musical
Black
performance.
beret.
No, I think it's a raspberry beret.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Like Prince.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of like
And-
French, like the French man with a black beret, artist,
The mime.
maybe.
Yes.
But that's end game stuff.
Yeah.
These mimes you see out in France,
They are actually the highest
they're
ranking
the highest ranking
in the beret
secret
branch.
commando. They've done so much that now what they do looks like they're not doing anything.
Exactly. So much action that now it's kind of this embodied inaction and this impotence.
Well, it's action, but not with anything.
That's true. Wow, Caleb, you really set me straight
sort
on
of
that.
what miming is
It's praxis.
without anything. Yeah. And the more you do it, well, then now you can do actions without stuff because you did so much you did so much actions with stuff. Now you can do it without stuff.
And at some point you can even stop pretending to use the stuff. And that's why the highest form of mime is just walking around.
Yeah, or even standing still. Like I know we don't think of these as berets, but those soldiers outside of Buckingham Palace, they're tall, furry berets.
Well, because once it goes black, it just starts to get taller. Talk about growth.
That's growth.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really admire about Wayne is the way that you kind of know that he is truly at peak physical condition, truly hunky, because he has to have his wife tie his shoes for him. Because getting his biceps, he can't make his hands converge on his foot.
Yeah.
Individually because of the mass of the biceps.
Yeah.
So there's not and so his wife barista has to tie his shoes for him.
I may just be mistaken here, but is it his wife? Her name is barista.
That's her sister-in-law.
Or that's just also what she does.
You mean she has like
his wife barista,
a pair of occupations of vocations to be a wife and to be a barista,
right?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know as well as I do that barista is a stay-at-home wife.
Yeah, stay-at-home.
And she's not. I mean, she might. We should find out if that's like a pet name.
She's our sister-in-law. So
she's our sister-in-law. We should find out.
Yeah.
Yes.
He introduced her as barista.
I mean, I'm sorry. But that's also part of hunkiness is like there's so much of their brain that is used to be hunky that it kind of starts to maybe atrophy in other respects as far as what a normal name is, if the word is a name or a job.
I mean, it's a beautiful name.
Barista Stevenson.
Barista.
One of the we talked about sort of false teachings. One thing to keep in mind is that there are conditions that can take you down a road that really leads you outside of hunkiness altogether, right? And so I have a poem about that. R.B. Drexel gained weight and stopped looking good. He thought to himself that he looked like 3 orcas crammed into an above-ground pool that could barely fit 2 orcas. He hid this change from his wife by wearing a 3-piece suit to bed. R.B.'s wife appreciated the effort, but insisted that he try to get back into the 2 orca range. When she said 2 orca range, R.B. felt a sharp pain in his stomach, like a harpoon.
Aw.
Yeah.
Is that Arby's like the sandwich?
He's named after his parents were big fans.
Big fans of roast beef because
roast beef.
That's where the RB because it's RB.
RB.
Should I cough into the mic or
just make sure the first one's around it and then the second one's actually directly
into it. If we could get the recorded clip, that would be ideal.
Okay. That's really interesting. His name is Arby. That's a food.
Yeah.
Right. But we had barista before. And I was realizing that we do have names that are associated with vocation.
Yeah.
Smith, carpenter. It's just usually not the first name.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and so maybe that is a way that she snuck her name in to her new name.
Yeah, you're saying when she got married, she was like, "I'd like to move my last name, which is barista, to be my first name."
Yeah,
barista Stevenson.
Yeah. Okay. Just something I thought of.
Yeah.
Do you
may not matter, may not connect
to anything.
Yeah.
Do you, Catherine Barista?
Yeah.
Take Wayne Stevenson.
Yeah.
How do you do that if you're going to change your name up so much like that? Do you say, do you barista? Like,
I don't think it's that big of a. I don't think it's that big of a deal, is it?
On the the marriage license?
Yeah.
Oh, at the
altar. How do you do that?
You can do whatever you want at the altar.
So then you go. Do you, Catherine Barista, take Wayne Stevenson to be your husband, and then they announce him as Mr. Wayne Stevenson and Mrs. Barista Stevenson? When do you make that switch?
Why am I being grilled on this? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, that is different communities will have different customs.
Yeah, agreed. And
Gabe,
we should stop talking about it.
Gabe, do you have a poem?
Yeah, I do. Here we go. It's called Airport Lunch. It's not about hunkiness at all, but it is about airports, and there's air. So it kind of ties in.
Ooh.
Airport Lunch. We're just waiting to hear more about the status of the runway before we can board and take off. The woman on the loudspeaker sheepishly adds, as we approach lunchtime, we're going to look into ordering food for those waiting. Sounds like a plan. Another hour passes, another delay. Lunchtime arrives, and so does a stack of 3 pizzas. But the pies are not paraded in front of the hungry masses as you would expect from a flight crew so desperate to garner goodwill from the customers they supposedly serve. Instead, the stack is slipped surreptitiously behind the counter at the gate, and a box of single-serving Skinny Pop popcorn bags is presented to the delayed passengers. Conspicuous misdirection. The flight crew descend on the triplicate pies. The travelers scrape up bags of lightly salted Skinny Pop. I know in my heart there is no such thing as a free lunch, but now I begin to question the existence of lunch. Thank you.
And what a...
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for holding space for my poem.
To be in a condition where you are questioning the existence of lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
It did get to that point because they said, we're probably going to get you guys lunch. And so we were like, well, that means we don't have to get ourselves lunch. And so we didn't get ourselves lunch. But then after the initial mention of a potential lunch, no further mention was made. But we saw the pizzas for the flight crew. Wow. But not for us.
But not for you. But you did get popcorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you complaining about?
Well,
is that
I don't think popcorn is lunch.
No.
I mean, popcorn.
It's something. It's not nothing.
That's true. They didn't say we're gonna figure out how to get you something. They said we're gonna get you food for lunch.
Well, you just, I guess, yeah. I mean, you should have immediately. Honestly, it's on you. You should have immediately gone up and said, "What is lunch to you?"
You're using this word lunch.
Yeah.
Can we get some clarification on what constitutes
I believe
lunch?
you could go up and you could say, now
You-
listen, I believe in lunch.
Yeah. Do you believe in lunch?
Do you believe in lunch?
What-
And what is it?
what
Can
does
you
it mean
do
to
that?
you?
Can you ask me? I'm going to make the announcement. Listen, everyone, we're sorry for the delay, but to make it up to you, we're probably going to get you lunch.
Okay. And when you say lunch, you mean like a sandwich, maybe a slice of pizza, maybe a bowl of noodles with a sauce.
Here, let's start over because that's not going to work.
Is that you as the lady or?
Yeah. So the scene.
Oh, so I'm a lady.
Okay.
Well, you said you were the
Go
lady.
ahead. I want to see.
you
I
might
really
be
want to
right.
see this
You might
play
be
out.
right. I'm the
Gabe,
lady.
I think what you have to do is you have to inquire more directly
Just
about
ask
lunch.
what I think lunch is.
Don't posit such a positive
Yeah.
idea of what lunch is. Just ask Caleb. Eventually, we'll just need to write this out. I think.
Okay, let's take it from the top.
Take it from the top. All right. Hi, everyone. We're sorry for the delay. And to make it up to you, we're probably going to get you lunch.
What is lunch?
Popcorn.
And that's when I would probably go. I would say something like, "Oh, I wouldn't consider that lunch." You could say a snack. And I should actually quickly, as an aside,
Yeah.
they did say, "Here are some snacks."
Oh.
Beforehand, and it was like this. The popcorn was the fulfillment of snacks.
Yep.
As the promise, right?
Yeah.
And then lunch was just never mentioned.
So they
again.
went back
They
on
sort
it
of
even.
layered. They sort of layered in incentives and
Yes.
just fulfilled one of them. In
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not that upset about it. It was a weather delay. They want to get us on the plane and get us the heck out of there. They don't want us to be complaining at them the whole time like we were. Like I was just incessantly doing, just complaining, just kind of doing lots of like
Just kind of walking
sort of thing.
over to the desk
Yeah.
and like slumping down
Yeah.
on it, kind of looking off into the distance.
Did you go over and ask them? What kind of pizza? Whoa, what kind of pizza is that?
I should have, man. If I were Boulder and my child didn't need to be perpetually entertained to keep from going insane, then I would have.
There are lots of options for that. I think you could go over and just kind of be like, "Oh, you guys got pizza?" Oh.
Yeah. Looks like some pretty good pizza.
I haven't had that kind of pizza. And Caleb, you're go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to know, should I treat sniffs the same as coughs, or?
Thanks so much for listening to Advanced Answering Techniques. I've been your host, Josh, joined by Caleb and Gabe. And if you'd like us to treat your questions this way, you can send them into advancedansweringtechniques@gmail.com. We're looking for an audio file about a minute in length, and we appreciate so much all of the questions that our listeners submit.
Thank you for saying that, Josh.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we haven't said that enough.
I know. It's been weighing on me as I get to the end of that. Frequently, I'm like, I should let the question submitters know that I appreciate them.
Well, and we're coming up on the end of the year here. It's a time to kind of reflect and think about all of the stuff that they've done for us, and also to consider some of the stuff they haven't done for us, like maybe tell friends to listen, share the podcast with friends, try to help us grow our listenership a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Like that's maybe a big thing that if I'm looking back on the year for the listeners, what they could improve, tell other people to listen to the podcast.
And I would never suggest that there's any sense in which our listeners have failed us.
No.
I appreciate so much all of the things that they do for us, and it makes it a lot easier to not think about the many ways in which, again, I wouldn't say that they've failed us.
No, they haven't failed us. But there's a sense in which they're not living up to their full potential as listeners.
Right. Sometimes you look down, and sometimes it's like with your children, you're like, just real love and admiration and gratitude for them, but also an overwhelming sense of disappointment.
Yeah.
Or, because there's some way in which you could be like, I enjoy this podcast, you should check it out. That's a good way to do it. Or even, there's a spectrum, a continuum of ways to do this, right? So you can do that first one, or you could do listen to this podcast, or else
memorize bits of the podcast, and just in a conversation find a way to quote that, and then cite the quotation.
The minute, the time marker.
The timestamp.
And Josh is getting that from something I do.
That is something Caleb does. Get like frequently he will, we'll be talking, and he will break into sort of a long explanation of how important it is to get sunlight in your eyes first thing in the morning, and then you'll cite that as from Huberman, whatever it is, 5 minutes 12 seconds, episode 30.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.